Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Recreation Outside Las Vegas. In this week's episode, I'm going to teach you how to plan a successful road trip where you're not spending all of your money and figuring out how to pay the bills once you get back from your road trip. I'm going to teach you how to road trip safely and how to ensure that you are going to have a good time. If you are new around here, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment about a road trip that you have had that was memorable, or leave a comment about something that you learned from a road trip that basically a lessons learned type scenario, and I will comment back and engage in conversation. So stay tuned for the video, and thank you for watching. Planning a road trip and you're thinking about your budget, your financial situation, keep in mind that camping is always an option. You don't always have to stay in a hotel. The Red Rock Campground just behind me is actually located about 45 minutes from the Strip. It's not too far. It's a cheap campground. Well, a lot cheaper than staying in a hotel. So just think about your options. Another website that you can go to is Campendium. I will leave a link to that below. Campendium, you can go on there and see what the campsites offer, what kind of amenities they offer, so you can plan your trip accordingly. Also, recreation.gov is the main website to book BLM, national parks, and Forest Service campgrounds. I will leave a link to that also. So when you're planning your trip, you don't have to go all out and stay in a motel. You can plan accordingly and book a campsite and save a lot of money. And plus, camping just adds to the experience. It makes for a great road trip, and it's just fun all around. So when you're planning your road trip and looking for accommodations, look to stay in a campsite, maybe just one night, and save yourself some money. And Uber does come out here too, so you don't have to worry about drinking and driving and doing all that. So when you're planning a road trip in general, see if there's some campsites near your location where you're planning to be. how much time do you have for this road trip? Do you have a weekend? Do you have a week off for the holidays? Or do you have an extensive summer vacation? Did you just quit your job? These are some factors that you need to think about before planning your road trip. There have been so many times where I've had to cut the road trip short because I underestimated how much time I have for the road trip. So just think about how much time you have, how many miles a day do you want to drive? Do you want to spend your entire road trip driving, or do you want to quickly get to your destination and relax? So these are some really important factors to think about. How much time do you have? Be realistic with yourself. Trust me, I know it's difficult to be realistic with yourself when it comes to time. Just think about how many miles a day are you going to drive? Are you going to switch off? What is your end destination? And give yourself some time to stop and look around. Let's talk about your travel companions. If you're planning a trip with someone, make sure that you're planning a trip with someone who has the same idea of fun as you. There's been a few times where I've planned trips with people and it turns out memorable, but in the worst way possible. Not everybody's having fun, and it was just an awful trip because we each had a different idea of what a good road trip would be like. So when you're planning your road trip with your friends, make sure that you sit down ahead of time and talk about what your goals are for this road trip. What do you want to see? What are some great landmarks that you want to see? How much money do you want to spend? Just make sure that you're on the same page. And when I say how much money do you want to spend, make sure you're going with someone who has the same budget idea as you do, because you don't want to have to not do something because someone else can't afford it, or vice versa. You don't want to have to miss out on something on the road trip because you can't afford it. Trust me, I've been the person that can't afford it. So make sure that when you are planning the road trip, that you are planning accordingly with that person so that you can have a good time. It is so important to be on the same page when you are planning a road trip with someone. Also, it's great to plan road trips by yourself. Trust me, I do it all the time, and you can do it too. Just make sure that you are telling someone where you're going and what your timeline is throughout the entire road trip. You want to be safe. If you aren't checking in with someone, then they obviously become worried about you, and that's okay. They can send someone out to come check up on you. Obviously, there's a lot of cases where you are planning a road trip and you're going to an area that doesn't have a lot of service. So make sure that you are updating people as frequently as possible. Let them know when you will have service or when you won't, or what the plan is. So just think about who you're planning the road trip with, whether it's by yourself or with someone else. Make sure that you are on the same page so that everybody can have a good time. Let's talk about the type of vehicle that we're going to be driving on this road trip. You want to make sure that you have an adequate vehicle for your destination. You might not want to drive a huge pickup truck to the beach. You might want to save some money on gas there. And if you're traveling with a friend who has a smaller vehicle, it might be a better option to take her vehicle or his vehicle so that you can save money on gas. But if you're planning a trip to some gnarly off-road destination, then you don't want to take a Prius or a Tesla. So you want to make sure that you are adequate, like you are equipped with the right vehicles. So that's also an important factor to think about when you're planning a road trip. Let's talk about our destination. What type of destination do you want to go to? All of these factors that I brought up, finances, the proper vehicle, how much time you have, that's going to determine where your destination is. I've gone to places in Death Valley where I need at least 5 days, even though Death Valley is close to me, because the destination I chose was 50 miles down a dirt road, which doesn't sound like a long distance, but it's going to take me 4 hours because of the washboard or the skill that I need to properly get down the dirt road safely. So think about all these factors when you're choosing your destination. You can go ahead and choose your destination first, but make sure that you are properly equipped with the finances and the vehicle, and make sure that you're properly packed for the trip. It's so easy to just jump the gun and think, yes, you can do this, but sometimes it's just important to just sit down and maybe write everything out and go over with your friends, whoever you're planning your trip with, and so that everybody is in the right frame of mind for planning this particular road trip to the destination that you want to go to. Last but not least, make sure that you are properly packed. I'm actually going to include a checklist on road trip packing. I have a checklist that I use, and it's actually in my blog. So if you haven't seen my blog, it's pretty awesome. It's my website is recreationoutsidelasvegas.com, and there's an entire blog about how to plan a road trip, and it has everything you need. There's even an Amazon wish list for items that you might need for the road trip. And check out that blog, give it a read, leave a comment, and download that checklist so that you can have a proper road trip and you can make sure that you have everything that you need for the road trip. So with that being said, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you gathered something from it. I chose to film on a Sunday, so the traffic was kind of bad and it was hard to find a quiet spot, but I still hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next video, which will be uploaded next Sunday. So the next video will be a camel safari. So I hope you subscribe and I hope you stick around and let me know what you gathered from this video. Thank you.